Utah's Mike Lee is one of the most conservative members of the U.S. Senate, yet he has joined with his liberal Vermont colleague, Bernie Sanders, to force the Senate to vote, possibly as soon as this week, to end American involvement in what is becoming an increasingly hot war in Yemen.
The United States is involved as a co-belligerent in a civil war in Yemen, aiding the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and a coalition led by Saudi Arabia in a civil war against the Houthis in Yemen. I think this is the kind of thing, anytime we're putting American blood or treasure on the line, I think we owe it to the American people to exercise our power, our Article 1, Section 8 power, to declare war.
Which, with regard to Yemen, Congress has never done, says Lee, since President Obama committed assistance nearly 2 years ago. And since we don't have a declaration of war, which only Congress can do, Lee would like to see America out of Yemen.
At some point, you know when you're involved in a conflict. The moment we are involved as a co-belligerent assisting the Saudi-led coalition in air refueling missions, in intelligence gathering, surveillance, reconnaissance, in target identification, for example, I think we have involved ourselves in somebody else's war. Members of Congress ought to have the ability to identify circumstances in which the United States is going to war without authorization from Congress. When that happens, there needs to be a public debate and a discussion.
And that debate may concern a conflict that looks a lot like war and that may be causing a humanitarian disaster, which is one reason Senator Sanders is a sponsor of a privileged resolution with Lee and Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, says Sanders' foreign policy advisor Matthew Duss.
Over the past year or even more, just how devastating this intervention has been in Yemen. It is the largest humanitarian crisis in the region. You've got over 10,000 people who've been killed, millions of people displaced, many thousands of people who've been seriously wounded. You have an approaching famine. According to the UN, they say it could be the largest famine we've seen in many decades.
The joint resolution is guaranteed a vote in the Senate in accordance with the procedures outlined in the International Security and Arms Export Control Act of 1976. John Hines, One America News, Washington.
We can use your help. Call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call today.